At least 70,000 platinum mine workers went on strike last Thursday, led by AMCU. The mining companies estimate the strike will cost about 142 million rand a day in lost cash. AMCU is demanding 12,500 rand a month for its lowest paid workers. Will the union get it? Are workers united behind this strike? My guest today is AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa. Mr. Mathunjwa, welcome to the show. Let me start with the strike. 12,500 rand, that's a lot of money from the average of 5,000 that people are getting. Will you achieve it?
I think it's not the question of whether we're going to achieve it. It's a question of that how many years have we been to this democracy while the workers are still under the line of poverty? And when will be the day that we'll achieve it if we don't start now?
But clearly to go from 5,000 rand to 12,500 rand a month, just like that, that does a lot of things to the cost base of the mining companies. That means that some of these mines will be out of business before, in a few months' time. Not really.
It's just these companies are not prepared. They are very adamant. If you look at the boom of 2008, they were making something like, 75% profit, those guys. And subsequent to that, to 2011, just before the smell-down of the economy, still there was another boom. And again, when you look at these companies, they sit every January where they set the the remuneration and set it at the inflation across. But what we need not to forget, they've got their short-term, medium-term, and the long-term where there is a safety net for them for the bonuses. Subsequent to that, they will get the dividend. So where are the workers then?
The workers are getting up to 9,500 rand as a start between their basic, their living out allowance, their 13th check pensions. It seems to me that you're very close to the 12,500 anyway, but you just don't want to negotiate on a percentage.
That's a total cost to company. We are talking about basic salary. When you go to each and every financial institutions, they only ask your basic salary. They don't ask you how many bonuses or how much bonuses do you get. So the basics is a structure that was designed for the black worker even before 1994. So instead of coming to 1994 to say, let's change this structure that was designed for a black worker, that hasn't happened.
I doubt that you'll get this 12,500 because at Northern Platinum you went on strike for 77 days and all you get was a 1% increase. Now you are looking at more than 100% increase here for some workers, and it doesn't seem feasible. I think you're leading your workers down the garden path. You're not being fair and straight to them.
Maybe it's a mistaken identity. It's NUM at Platinum Mine, it's not AMCU.
But that's mine economics. Those guys couldn't afford it. And these other mines that you're striking at won't be able to afford it.
The fact of the matter, this is the mandate that have been given. It's not that Joseph Mathunjwa went to a boardroom and say, my members want 12,500. They put the demands forward. For me, is to take those demands and negotiate. So therefore, the employers should realize that as long as their CO, their PAX per year is above 20 million each, so therefore they can afford this. That 12,500 is still going to be a tax which benefits the government, maybe to assist the government for service delivery. So therefore, what is the use to work for 4,800 or 4,500, the money that you cannot even tax?
2 years ago, there was a strike at Implats. 2,000 people were immediately not reemployed. 3,000 were dismissed immediately after that in various dismissals. Basically, what happens after these costs go up and salaries go up is that the mines have to start retrenching to make the profits that investors want, and therefore your workers who are on strike now may find themselves out of jobs instead of getting the 12,500.
I think maybe we need to change the gear, that let's change the policies, the economic policies. Let's own these mines once and for all. Why should we be oppressed with our own minerals in this country?
Are you suggesting that, in fact, you're not striking for a salary increase? You're striking to bring down these mines so you can nationalize them?
No, that's what your question was. You said the jobs will be lost. So I say, instead of giving the investors so much power, why then we get those mines that they are closing and nationalize them, or have a joint or joint venture with the workers?
So you're saying that it's not about the mine continuing to work, that people have invested money into this mine and build and put money to build it up and employ people. It's about taking the mine over and actually running it ourselves, yourself.
I mean, not for myself, but we have to be jointly in this. For instance, when I'm talking about these policies, even though I'm not an economist, but if we produce something like 75% of the platinum of the world, but still we don't determine the prices. So therefore, that means we'll be always being a price taker instead of us setting, because we are the country that have those precious metal, but at the end of the day, doesn't benefit. Look at Limpopo recently, what happened. A child went to a toilet and fell into the pit. If you look around that school, how many mines around that school? What are they doing with their social labor plan?
The government had put aside money which it receives from taxes to do that. People didn't go and build those toilets. On Friday, the toilets arrived because someone had died. That's a totally different story. But I don't think you should blame the mining companies for that.
They've got their social labor plan. I'm just putting them in because there are commitments also that they made when they they start mining. What are they doing with those social labor plan?
Mr. Mathunjwa, we've got 3 minutes, so I'm going to go very quickly on these questions. Violence. Already people are reporting that they are scared in those mines where the strike is taking place. Are we going to see an escalation of violence? That's a quote from Bob Masinga, one of your leaders in the platinum in around Rasbeck, saying, 2 days on pass without us carrying weapons. Your members are carrying weapons. Are we looking at another Marikana?
This is a two different thing. Marikana is the government who killed the workers. This is a protected strike fighting for decent salaries. I've been to Impala, all the operation, it was quiet. I met the police and the security. But there was no violence.
You acknowledge there are reports that people have been hit. There was a lady who was hit with a steel pipe yesterday.
What about, I'm not condoning such. If it's such, it's wrong. It has to be rooted out of the system. The police must do their work. But the point that I'm making, are you aware that our members were pointed with a firearm? The case was open. Even the Minister of Police knows about that. The cars of our strikers, of our members, was smashed. The front window. Those things hasn't been reported.
Now tell me, is that the recipe for violence? Do you think the kind of violence we saw in Marikana a year and a half ago is going to happen there?
There is no such a thing. Those are the prophet of the doom. There will be no such. This is a peaceful strike. It's a protect strike in terms of the Labor Relations Act. What we want, decent salary. That is where the employer should come up and open the purse and change the lives of their employees.
There have been allegations against you personally saying that you, one man, Mathunjwa, holds all the cards in AMCU, that there's no internal democracy. There are people who've gone out and said this is not a good enough strike, and they're saying no. Their opinions will run roughshod. Are you running this like your own shop? AMCU,
No, I think AMCU doesn't have a certificate that says CC or JV. It's got certificate from Department of Labor.
But people are saying you run it like a CC.
No, it's got the structures. It's got everything. I think the best thing is for you to go to those mines and check whether are they structures, are they meetings that are being attended.
Some mines, but no regional structures, for example.
Regional
people are saying this leads to corruption, and they point at you and say, look at Mr. Mathunjwa, he's arriving in a nice fleet of cars.
But what, those cars go to the natives. Remember, this is a recycle news. Remember, December after the American, the same thing happened to Sunday Times. They came up with the very same argument without verifying that some of those cars are the cars that belongs to the union. Sometimes I use an organizer car, then I'll change it the following day. I'll ask for another organizer to give me the car, and those cars belongs to me.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but one last question, split. Is AMCU about to split given the number of people who are standing up and saying they do not like your kind of leadership?
I quote City Press yesterday. I think City Press has put the facts that these things was cooked from last year, December. People are coming and saying, we were called under the disguise of the president, only to find these few guys were wanted to form.
Who are these people?
The one that, I mean, I've been on TV all along saying Mathunjwa is a dictator and what. But if you read the City Press yesterday, you won't be surprised that this is a smear campaign trying to derail. AMCU is united. We are growing. The numbers are showing that the three big mines in South Africa has shut it down.
Joseph Mathunjwa, thanks so much for your time. We don't have any more time for the questions, but next time. Thank you. After the break, our winner and loser of the week. Stay with us.
News that moves. eNCA.com.